In this episode of FTD Facts, we are venturing into the world of Islam once again. This time exploring the branch that's often seen as the wild child of Islam. Some don't even recognize it as being any part of Islam whatsoever. But I'm talking about Sufism, or Sufi Islam if you prefer that language. We're going to dive right into the world of Sufism and uncover some of the facts and information about it in hopes to better understand who the Sufis really are. Hey, what's happening everybody? My name is Leroy Kenton and welcome back to another episode of FTD Facts. This is a channel where we love to talk about the different countries, cultures, and people from all around the world. And if this is your first time here, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's free to subscribe, as well as that bell notification, so you'll be notified every time we release a new video like this. And if you just love learning, or if you're Muslim, or just, I don't know, are you religious or even not religious, hit the like button on this video. Let me know how many of you are out there that love learning here on FTD Facts. Alright guys, so let's just jump right in. First thing I want to look at is, what is Sufism anyways? Well, the word Sufism was initially introduced in the European language in the 18th century. Sufism was mainly viewed as an intellectual doctrine and literary tradition at variance with what they say was sterile monotheism of Islam. In recent times, many scholars have used other definitions of Sufism, such as intensification of Islamic faith and practice. Some also defined it as a process of realizing ethical and spiritual ideals. Many people have even also defined Sufism as a spiritual quality instead, in a more practical context. Sufism is an Arabic word which is called tasawwuf. Sufism is defined according to the Arabic as an Islamic mysticism, the inward dimension of Islam. Sufism is also a way of life in which deeper identity is discovered and lived out through the human experience. The deeper identity beyond the already known personality is in harmony with all that exists. This deeper identity, or essential self, has abilities of awareness, action, creativity, as well as being able to love far beyond the abilities of our superficial personality. So with that backdrop there, Sufism is less a doctrine or a belief system than an experience and a way of life. When we look back throughout history, we see that Sufis have often belonged to different Turiq or orders. These orders meet for spiritual lessons in meeting places known as zawiyas. And what they do is to strive for perfection and to worship Allah as if you see him face to face. With the research that we have and the history that we have recorded, Sufism has been traced to the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad through his cousin and son-in-law Ali. In modern history, there has been a lot of decline in the Sufi order and criticism of some aspects of Sufism by modernists and thinkers, and also conservative Salafists have increased. And nevertheless, Sufism has continued to play an important role in the Islamic world and has influenced various forms of spirituality. When we look at the total population of Sufism, we see that it shows that only about 5% of the total population of Muslims say that they follow the Sufism way of life. According to the World General Census Body, we have about 1.8 billion Muslims in the entire world. Therefore, the total estimated population of Sufism is roughly 90 million. Now, which country has the most Sufis in the world? You see, Turkey has the highest and growing population of Sufism in the entire world. Sufism is very popular in most Muslim countries and in Africa, in places such as Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, and Senegal. In these countries, Sufism is seen as a mystical expression of Islam. Now, Sufism is traditional in Morocco, but it has experienced a growing revival with a renewal under contemporary spiritual teachers. Now, I did mention that Sufism stems from the Prophet Muhammad, according to research and some other people's points of view. However, according to others, history shows that the earliest Sufi was Muhammad himself and his companions. Sufi orders are based on the pledging of allegiance, which was given to the Prophet Muhammad by his companions. By pledging allegiance to Muhammad, it means that the Shahaba, or his companions, has committed themselves to the service of God. The Sufis believe that anyone who pledges allegiance to Muhammad has created a spiritual connection between the seeker and Muhammad. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. And you see, the Sufis aim to learn about understanding and connecting with God through the Prophet Muhammad. So they're very much really centered around the Prophet. However, Sufis just aren't so much into the specific rules and regulations taken from the Quran or the Hadith. In the early stages of the development of Sufism, the practitioners of Sufism held on to the belief that it is nothing more than the internalization of Islam. As a mystic aspect of Islam, it is considered as part of the Islamic teachings that deals with the purification of the inner self. By focusing on the more spiritual aspects of the religion, Sufis strive to attain a direct experience of being connected with God by using their emotional and intellectual faculties and really training and developing that. In order for Sufism to be seen as a recognized and organized religion by most people, in the 11th century, Sufism, which had previously been a less codified trend in Islam, began to be ordered, which have continued until the present day. So that's how they sort of established themselves to be more credible in the public eye. Towards the end of the first millennium, a number of manuals began to be written that summarize the doctrines and teachings of Sufism, and two of the most famous of them all are available in English, and these are the Kashf al-Mahjub of Ali Hujwiri and the Risala of al-Kishwari. Now, for all you people who are new here to FTD Facts, you may not know that we do have a playlist that's dedicated specifically to the religion of Islam. We have tons of videos in that playlist. I highly recommend that because in this episode, we're just talking about Sufism, but we've discussed a lot more about the other branches of Islam, and we go into the history, the teachings. We even looked at how Islam differs from other religions like Christianity. So I'll have the playlist linked down below in this video description. I'll also link to it in the card section, and I'll have an annotation to it at the end screen of this episode as well. So if you want to continue expanding your knowledge, I highly recommend checking out those videos. Okay, so when we look a little bit deeper now into the beliefs of Sufism, practitioners of Sufism believe in the truth of divine love and knowledge through direct personal experience with God. They attempt to reach a state of temporary ecstatic intoxication of divine love, as well as a lengthened condition of complete human indwelling with God. Also, I touched on this before, but instead of really looking at the rules and regulations inside of the Quran, Sufis decide on picking poetries and mystics to really devote a lot of their time to. They believe that wherever you turn, there is the face of God. Sufis also believe that the ascension of Muhammad into heaven is to be a model for all of us on how our souls can travel to God. Sufis believe that the supreme mystical experience is thus achieved in union with God, even if only momentarily. For the Sufi Brotherhood, ever since the 22nd century, most of the Sufis have organized themselves into different orders or brotherhoods that follow the teachings of particular Sufi masters. One example of the Sufis Brotherhood is the Mevlevi Brotherhood. This brotherhood is named after the founder, Mevlana, and the members do a lot of rhythmic whirling of the body, and they engage in this as a spiritual exercise. They do this as a way to get closer to God. Each member of the order or brotherhood was placed at different levels depending on the instructions that they mastered. The brotherhood also served an important social function by providing educational and social welfare services. Now, with that said, so what sort of clergy are in the Sufi orders? Well, the Sufi orders or brotherhoods are a lot more organized now, and they're directed by a master known as a pir, a sheikh, an ishan, a murshid, or an ustad. They are referred to as teachers with divine connections to God, and they offer a lot of physical and spiritual guidance to help their followers, as well as they're a source of inspiration to everyone that belongs to the order or brotherhood. Throughout the different lands, you'll notice that many Sufis are wandering travelers. They travel from place to place, and they try to spread the word about their way of life. They're also very conservative when talking about themselves. So if you ask a Sufi where he is going, where he comes from, or how does he earn a living, they will say something like, only Allah knows. On that note, that concludes this episode on the facts about Sufism. I hope you really learned something new in this episode. I know I did, and as always, leave your thoughts and comments down below. Your voice and your opinion really matters. You can leave a comment about anything that I mentioned in this episode or anything that I didn't mention that you may want to throw in there. Also, hit me up on social media. Those links are below in the video description, and I can't wait to see you next time in another episode where we can learn about another topic. So don't forget, leave your suggestions for other videos below as well. Okay guys, that's it for me. My name is Leroy Kenton, and I'll see you all real soon. Hey everyone. everyone, thanks for watching this episode. Now, if you want to continue expanding your knowledge about Sufism and the world of Islam in general, here is that playlist that is packed with videos. We also post videos on many different topics, so tune in every single day for more educational episodes.